I've been hearing a lot of talk lately about how kids are way too expensive and that people can barely afford their own lives, let alone kids. And if you just do a quick YouTube search on kids and finance or budgeting for families, you will find a plethora of such messages. But if you currently find yourself in a difficult financial state as a parent, this can be really discouraging. So today I'm here to share with you 20 plus ways to save money with kids. Because as somebody who's been practicing minimalism for around 5 years, I wholeheartedly believe that kids do not have to be as expensive as marketers make it seem. And as we go through this list, if you have any money saving tips of your own, please be sure to share them in the comments below, because you never know if the thing you have to share just might be what somebody else needed to hear. So take one, take them all, take a few. Let's get started. First up is to buy all black socks. With the exception of some white ruffled socks for dresses, basically all we have is black socks. If you have lots of different patterned socks, sometimes you get the lost one and you're having to figure out where to find them. And then also with the white ones, they just get so icky so quickly that you're having to replace them often, or you're having to wash them specially. And two, your older kids can kind of pass them down to your younger kids. And there'll come a point too, because socks are very stretchy, that they're pretty much going to wear the same size. The simpler, the better. Always bring a snack and or drink if you're going out for errands, because sometimes it might just be a little bit delayed and you may be there longer than you thought you were, and then all of a sudden your kids are hungry and you're gonna want to buy whatever random snacks or buy fast food or buy something that you didn't actually intend to buy just because of the convenience. So just avoid yourself having that situation altogether and just come prepared. Avoid holiday specific clothes or clothes that they will rarely wear. This is something that kind of also applies to me as an adult. Like if I'm going to buy something that's just a one-time event or just rarely used, then I really think to myself, I'm not going to get my use per wear out of it, so I'm not going to buy it. But with kids, you have that factor, but then also they outgrow things so quickly, so that already have like a shorter window of how long they can wear something. So personally, we don't buy any kind of like holiday clothes, special event clothing, unless I know that it's something that they're going to wear repeatedly and that they can pass down to another child as well. Number 4, consider selling your gently used clothes. You can do this online, you can do this at consignment shops, at thrift stores. There's lots of different ways to do this. But by doing this, sometimes what you can do is sell the clothes. Stores that sell used clothes will actually give you like a discount or a coupon or actually money to use off of clothes that you're going to buy. I know there's a location near me where basically they sell used clothing, they sell used like kid gear and stuff like that. And when you sell to them, then you get a discount price and you get that money back. Either you can use it in cash or use it to buy things. So this is something that I have used to sell some of the things that my kids have no longer used, and then basically end up with really cheap clothes, or sometimes even free, based on the things that you're selling. And number 5 kind of ties in with the previous. It is to buy used clothing. I absolutely love this one because it can save you so much money. But if you don't want to buy used clothing for whatever reason, consider finding consignment shops that sell clearanced out items. I know there's lots of different stores located near me that sell returns from Amazon, that sell clearanced out items from Target. There's just different stores that sell things that are basically new, that are unused, at a discounted price. So don't knock it till you try it. If you are looking to buy toys for your kids, make sure you consider the age group. So for example, when my babies were babies, basically, I didn't buy rattles for them and specialty baby toys. I basically used things that were safe, that my older kids used, that they could just have at it and play with. Because if you're buying toys for every specific stage of their life, you're going to have yourself in a toy chaos. This is an area that I feel very passionate about, and I have a separate video on how to eliminate toy clutter for good. So if you feel like you're kind of in that zone, in that department, I will leave that video linked at the end of this video so you can check it out after this one. But if you're buying toys, it's okay, no shame. Just make sure that you consider that age group and make sure that you use toys that will actually stand the test of time and that they will be able to play with for a long time. And number 7, if your kids have enough toys, just don't buy them any more toys. They will likely get toys from friends and family. And so I personally don't see the point in me spending in toys when I know for a fact that they have people that love them that will give them toys. So I don't purchase toys for my children. Like, it's very rare occasion that I do that. And I feel very passionate about that because when I was a kid, I was poor. I grew up in Mexico and I experienced knowing what it's like to be hungry, knowing what it's like to have one shirt to wear, but yet I was happy and I was very creative. Like, I remember taking a toothpaste container because I didn't have a dollhouse, I didn't have little dolls to play with, And I basically cut out all sorts of little cutouts and I made myself a house out of a toothpaste container. And I love that thing. I love making lots of little stuff. And I took like a CD case and I cut out this little doll that I had made and I taped her so she was kind of laminated. And then I made her clothes. And so I would change out her clothes in this little CD case. So I had to use my creativity to make those toys. I wasn't any less happier because of it. I assure you, the less clutter your kids have as far as toys go, the more creative they will be and the longer they will actually play. Number 8, buy used furniture or DIY. Sometimes DIY can be a little bit more expensive depending on if you're buying lumber or paint or all those sorts of things. So you have to kind of plan DIY. You have to be really intentional of when you're doing your DIYs. But used furniture can be very, very, very affordable. Both of my kids' beds were used and cost $100, and all I did was basically slap some paint on it and they looked good as new. Avoid buying them special character items or prints and patterns that they will quickly outgrow. So this is something like princess blankets, superhero lamps, and all the special cartoon characters that they are currently interested in. Because what's going to happen is inevitably they will find the next special character that sparks their interest, and then you're having to replace all these things all over again. You will save so much money if you buy something that is simple but tasteful. And it also shows them that they don't always have to have the latest trend. Childcare is also a major expense for some people. And I'm not saying that this necessarily needs to be for you, but for some people, it actually works out better if one parent stays home versus if both work. Because of where they fall in the tax bracket, maybe the other person already has insurance and this person is basically paying for insurance and paying for childcare and then paying to drive there and back and all that it may actually work out better if it's just one income versus two incomes. And then also there might be different financial assistance available if the income is actually reduced. So I'm not saying this should necessarily be you, but just something to consider. And don't quote me on this one because I never actually paid for like a daycare or anything like that. But I have heard that you can actually tax deduct a certain amount if you're paying for daycare and you're like working. So it may be something that you want to look into with your accountant or whoever does your taxes. But if you have any tips on how to save on childcare, be sure to share them in the comments below because that is a major expense for a lot of parents. Number 11 is one that I love and hate at the same time, and it's to feed them what you eat. And I say that I love it because, I mean, it teaches them that this is what you have, you should be thankful for what you have, and it kind of hopefully instills in them a little bit more discipline when it comes to eating. But I hate it at the same time because it requires practice and it requires you constantly having to just, this is it, this is what we have. And so this is something that is beautiful at the same time, but it's also not easy. But two, I have also done this when my kids were babies. I did baby-led weaning, and again, not telling you what you need to do with your kids, you know your kids best. But baby-led weaning, basically I would like steam a carrot and give it to my kid instead of like pureeing it and mashing it and then buying all these little like packaged processed stuff that tends to have lots of chemicals anyway, and just buying the fresh thing. So it was a lot easier. I didn't have to prep all these things. I didn't have a lot of waste. So just feeding my kids what I was already eating simplifies my meals and saves money at the same time. Don't get them used to buying the novelty items and snacks at the store just because they went to the store. So with this one, I'm talking about those treats. You know, like when you go to the gas station and all you really needed was one thing. Maybe you needed a case of water, but because you walked in, you kind of treat yourself because you went through the effort of going in and grabbing the case of water. And so you come out with a bunch of snacks that you didn't plan on buying. Again, what we're attacking here is the consumerist habits. Number 13, size up their winter jackets and boots. Because let's face it, puffy jackets are meant to be big anyways. This is something that my mom used to do when we were kids because we were limited in finances. And she would buy jackets that were a little bit bigger and we would just layer them up. And then with boots, she would buy either like a black or a brown, something that we could pass to the next kid, and buy them in a size larger. And that way we would just kind of layer up in socks so that they would fit and be toasty as well. I loved that. I loved that my feet were always warm. And then the next year we would wear them with regular socks. And then the year after that, we would just pass them on to the next kid. Use your library. I love, love, love this one because I feel like so many people don't know that a lot of libraries have a lot of wonderful resources. The library that is near me, and then even a few that I've checked out in the area, tend to have lots of different events all the time. We've gone to like different little parties, different little craft events that are completely free. My kids have been able to go to these events, even have snacks, even have like little gifts that they give to them for free. And I'm not paying anything for these things. And also, if you're not like actually going to the library for events, you can also sometimes have apps like Hoopla or Libby through your library where you can check out books at home, you can check out movies at home, you can listen to music at home. I have been able to use this. The one that I use is Hoopla, and I've been able to have my kids have lots of different books at home, and then also having the events through the library. So of course you can check out books. Most people just expect that the library is just for checking out books, but check out your local library. They may have a lot more resources than you think. Number 15 is one that may not necessarily save you money, but it may instill into your kids a habit of giving rather than constantly wanting. And it is to try to have a no gift party. If you're going to have a party or have some sort of an event, consider having a no gift party and then instead ask for money to be donated to a particular cause. For example, I love to have my children have the ability to see giving in action. I prefer going to buy food and actually give food to the homeless shelter rather than just handing over the money, because I could do that. Me, yes, he knows that it will be used for that, but a child cannot imagine that, cannot see that as well. They're more visual creatures. They need to kind of see the event happening in action. So by me taking them to the store, buying the food, taking it to the homeless shelter, seeing the faces of the people excited and happy, they get to have a different experience than versus if I just give the money and never show them that experience. What you're doing by doing these things is you're really attacking that consumerism by instead of focusing on what can I get, what can I receive, what can I do, what do I have to give, what do I have to offer. And I think this is so powerful. Honestly, I think that of all the things on this list that will save you money, this will be huge because you're going to be teaching them something that will last them a lifetime. Number 16 is not as deep. Skip the baby shoes. They don't walk yet. They're just basically popping them off half of the time and you're having to find the darn thing. They don't need it. I think if I were a baby, I would want to be comfy, not cute. Number 17 is for babies, and it is to buy as much general neutral as possible for the first year of life. This is something that was very helpful to me as a new mom. I did this when I was a new mom, and I'm so glad that I did. I did have a few little outfits for pictures and going out and things like that, but basically most of what I had was something that I could pass down to the next kid because I planned on having more children. And so this is things like swaddles, carriers, clothes, bottles. This next one is not for everyone, but try reusable cloth diapers instead of disposables. If you do this, you can save thousands of dollars, especially because when you have them the one time, you can use them again. I bought a big pack of reusable diapers when I had my first child, and basically it was like around $500 something, and I bought them new, and I was able to use them with my second child. Now, personally, I did use disposable diapers when we would go out, when we would go on vacation, when we would go to church, things like that, because I didn't want to have like my other diaper, like dealing with all that stuff, like carrying them. But at home, I used reusable diapers and I loved it because it was easy. Like when I tell people about reusable diapers, they kind of expect like the old school stuff and like, ew, and icky. And it was really not as bad as it seems. Like I'd have my hose and I'd spray it down and then like make sure to kind of cleanse it that way. And then you could stick them in the washing machine. So there's different ways in which you can manage the washing part, which is what most people tend to worry about. And then you also can buy them used. I have seen used diapers online all the time. Number 19, don't buy baby mittens. They fall off half the time. You're just having to look for the darn things. And me having a daughter that had eczema, she would scratch all the time and bleed all the time. I tell you, the only thing that worked was actually wearing socks. It may look funny, but it actually works. Number 20 is skip the transitional eating utensils. This one is Montessori inspired, but I feel like, again, this is just great marketing, making us feel like we need all the little gizmos and gadgets for our kids. I went straight to a stainless steel cup from Munchkin, and my kid loved this one because she felt kind of like a grown-up, and they, from the very beginning, learned how to grab the cup by the sides instead of like having little handles to hold on to and having to sip a little lid and then having to unlearn how to stop sipping on the lid. So it can really save you a lot of time having to teach them from one thing to the next thing to the next thing, but it can also kind of give them a little bit more independence and save you money in the process. Number 21 will not be for everybody, so do not shame yourself if this is not you, but breastfeed if possible. Breastfeeding is, of course, better for a baby. It can help you get your figure back. This is kind of how I have lost my baby weight so easily, is because I breastfed both of my babies. And then also different insurances will offer free breast pumps. So you can kind of look into that and see if this is something that is possible for you, but it can save you a lot of money and benefit both you and baby. And lastly, number 22, do not buy trendy baby gadgets. This is things like those little pacifiers with the stuffed animals on them, the gliders and the walkers. When my daughter was little, we made the mistake of buying her a walker that had little buttons on it and had music on it. And instead of fulfilling the purpose that it was intended for, to teach her how to walk, right? She preferred to sit down and push the buttons. Of course, buttons are more entertaining. To me, this was a perfect example of how the media and marketing makes us think that we need X, Y, Z in order to have happy, well-rounded children. And what they really need is to be able to express their creativity without constantly being distracted by screens and buttons all the time. They need us to be present, to be able to spend time with them and instill into them the values that we want to share with them. And to know that they will be a lot happier instead of focusing on receiving and what can they have and what can they get. To know that they have value to give and that they will be happier the more that they focus on serving and doing things for other people. So if I could encapsulate all of these into one, it would be adopt minimalism into your life. Because as they see you getting rid of things and simplifying your life and the joy that it is bringing to you, that will radiate into them and embracing life without constantly feeling like they're lacking, like they need more, like they're not enough if they don't have X, Y, Z. So that is it for this video. I hope that you found it helpful. And again, if you have any tips of your own, be sure to share them in the comments below so that we can all learn from each other. And if you like this sort of content, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you won't miss when I post a new video. Till next time, bye!